Expand design, a roomy cabin, dual-tone interiors, 15 smart utility spaces, and a large boot space, all there to expand your life. Welcome to Easy Space.
Australian media reports say that the Australian government has no intention of sending a boat of 153 asylum seekers to Sri Lanka, nor are the authorities in Sri Lanka preparing to receive them. Officials in Tamil Nadu have denied the boat left from their waters, indicating a reluctance to accept any returnees. The matter is now before the Australian High Court. Speaking to Australia's 9 Network, Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbot today reiterated his government's determination to stop the people smuggling trade.
I won't talk about on-the-water operations. That's to give aid and comfort to the people smugglers, and that's not something that I'm going to do. What I am going to do, though, is to reiterate the government's absolute determination to stop the boats, because if we stop the boats, we stop the deaths, and that's why it is absolutely critically important that Operation Sovereign Borders continues to succeed.
Operation Sovereign Borders is a central command structure of the Australian Defence Force aimed at stopping maritime arrivals of asylum seekers to Australia. The operation was an election policy of the coalition which commenced on the 18th of September 2013 after the election of the Abbott government at the 2013 federal election. The operation is an attempt to address issues surrounding people smuggling through initiatives including offshore processing on Manus and Nauru and resettlement in countries other than Australia, namely Papua New Guinea. Speaking to Newsfirst, Admiral Thisara Samarasinga, Sri Lanka's High Commissioner to Australia, said no request has been made by the Australian authorities for Sri Lanka to accept the 153 asylum seekers. Admiral Samarasinga furthermore noted that this matter concerns the Australian government and does not concern Sri Lanka. When asked about if the Australian authorities do make such a request, Admiral Samarasinga refused to comment on the matter. The matter of the Australian government's tough policy was brought up in the Australian Senate too, where Government Senate leader Eric Abetz gave an impassioned defence.
But in relation to some of the assertions being made about Sri Lanka, it is my understanding that when people are returned to Sri Lanka, the police interview them. It is an offence to leave Sri Lanka illegally, but that is a process which is dealt with under Sri Lankan law. I don't believe that people are jailed indefinitely on return. And do you know who said all those words? The former Minister, Minister Bowen. I see no sense of social justice whatsoever in giving priority to those that bypass safe haven after safe haven after safe haven and then pay a criminal to get them to the front of the queue.
Reports indicate that the boat in question was intercepted by Australian authorities outside Australia's migration zone, about 19 kilometres from Christmas Island. The 153 asylum seekers, including 37 children, are reportedly at present on the high seas aboard an Australian customs vessel. The UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, notes that the Australian government does have the right to turn back asylum seekers intercepted outside the migration zone. Correspondents say any handover would negatively impact Australia's image in the eyes of the international community.